Now, there's no question that Hillary Clinton made some monumental mistakes during the 2016 election. Otherwise, how could you lose to a guy who was polling at 37% on the day of the election, who was, at the time, appeared to be the most unpopular person who had ever run for president? Now, she did get 3 million more votes than him, but did not win the Electoral College, so there was a ton of mistakes made. And she wrote a book called What Happened? I know that the book doesn't have the question mark, but it might as well, because apparently she doesn't get it. So in the book, she's blamed almost everyone but herself. And she does the obligatory, sure, there were mistakes made, but her real passion is when she's blaming others. So New York Times has an excerpt that I wanted to read you guys, where she blames Obama for her coal miners line. Now, before I read it to you, the New York Times description of that, I want you to understand, you remember when she said we're gonna put a lot of coal miners out of business? You might have seen that clip out of context. You might have seen it in a Trump ad. Now, she was actually saying that rhetorically, like, are we gonna put a lot of coal miners out of business? And she went on to say in the next sentence, no, what we're gonna do is create new jobs with new technologies and actually bring new jobs to that area. She didn't have to run from that clip at all. She should have attacked on that clip. She should have said Donald Trump is a liar who lies about that on purpose, took it out of context on purpose because he's a goddamn liar. She should have used those same exact words. She should have said it in a debate. She should have challenged them on it, and she should have challenged the media to do their homework on it. That would have been a more aggressive campaign, a campaign that had a much better chance of winning. Instead, she thinks, yes, it was a mistake to say that, even rhetorically asking it, which is, that's not a mistake. Anyway, and then it's Obama's fault. How in the world did she get there? Let's find out. She made a connection between Mr. Obama and what she called her biggest gaffe of the campaign, telling voters in Ohio, quote, we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business. Mrs. Clinton insisted that the line was taken out of context, but said Mr. Obama had fed the narrative of Democratic hostility toward coal miners by announcing a plan that set state-by-state targets for carbon emission reductions and a framework for meeting them at the White House next to the head of Environmental Protection Agency. Now, let's break that down into its two parts, which are both disastrous. Well, one is, Obama made me say it. No, he didn't. He didn't make you say it in that way. I mean, if it wasn't for his policy, I wouldn't even be talking about that. Obama didn't run the campaign. He won the two campaigns he ran, including the one against you. No, you have to take some degree of personal responsibility. You're becoming a caricature of what the right wing described liberals as. You've got to take some personal responsibility that you said those things. And yes, it was out of context. And yes, you didn't put it into the proper context, which would have been the right thing to do. And you should have fought back hard on that. But then to turn around and blame Obama for it is playing the blame game in really the most outrageous and ridiculous way. And then the second part of the problem here is, when you look at the substance of the issue, Obama actually did something great for climate change. It was one of the few areas where he was fairly progressive in his second term. It's not a credit I often give him for being very progressive, but in that case, credit where credit is due, he did the right thing. And Clinton thinks, oh my God, he put me in a tough spot by being a progressive and doing something that was progressive, making me defend it and then making me say something I shouldn't have said. Oh, that's so wrong in 1,000 different ways. Because for her, the right wing must be appeased. So if you make a mistake in the right wing direction, you have to blame it on someone else. It's a real mistake, etc. But her attacks against the left, she never apologized for. In fact, she doubles down in the book about those, and she doesn't consider them to be a mistake, when in reality that cost her so many more votes. So in the book, she talks about how single-payer healthcare will, quote, never ever happen. But that's why you lost the election, whether you think that single payer is a good idea or not, even whether you think it's practical or not. How do you not understand that you enervated your own base? You sapped them of their energy and their desire to go out and fight for you and vote for you by saying, oh, your priorities, they're never ever gonna happen. But she doesn't even think that's a mistake, because she thinks like a Washington right-winger. She thinks, well, you spit on progressives and they better like it, otherwise it's their fault you lost the election. For right wing, you go, oh, I'm so sorry, coal mining companies. Obama made me say those terrible things about the giant coal mining companies, when in fact I love you. I'm so sorry. God damn it. It's even worse than that. Here's another excerpt from the book. When she says, she's talking about the same situation, Bernie Sanders asking her to do more. She says, someone sent me a Facebook post that summed up the dynamic in which we were caught, referring to like Bernie's promises of whether it's free education, college education, or single payer, etc. Bernie, this is the Facebook post she's quoting. Bernie, I think America should get a pony. Hillary, how will you pay for the pony? Where will the pony come from? How will you get Congress to agree to the pony? Bernie, Hillary thinks America doesn't deserve a pony. Bernie supporters, Hillary hates ponies. Hillary, actually I love ponies. Bernie supporters, she changed her position on ponies. Which Hillary, hashtag which Hillary spelled the other way. Headline, Hillary refuses to give every American a pony. Debate moderator, Hillary, how do you feel when people say you lie about ponies? See, that's her vision of what happened in the election, which is progressives. You think you can get a free college education for your kids and they get to live the American dream? No, that costs $75 billion a year. But wait a minute, Hillary, you voted for the Iraq war that cost $1.5 trillion at a minimum. And you thought that was affordable, but when it comes to the American dream, you said, not for the middle class. What do you want, a pony? And she revels in it. You say that you're theoretically in favor of a single payer, but will never ever get it. Oh, you want a pony? And then you say, well, no, I love ponies. I mean, I'm not gonna fight for a pony. I'm not gonna give you a pony. I'm not gonna do anything in going in that direction at all. But I guess you guys wanted, fine, I'll say it. And then you won't give me credit. And you thought the moderators were against you? On which planet? Every single time. Bernie Sanders, you're a socialist. Now look at what happened in Cuba, and we'll look at what happened in Venezuela. So why don't you tell us how you're not like Fidel Castro and you're not like Hugo Chavez? These are not practical, Bernie Sanders. How can you explain your impractical positions? In every single debate, they supported you 100%, but even then, no, I'm a victim. I'm a victim of the moderator. You thought the moderators leaked questions to you. But she thinks the moderators were not on her side. And she views progressive with great disdain, and you can see it in her own book, and she doubles down on it, and then wonders why she lost. That's why you lost. And yes, there were many contributing factors, James Comey, the Russians, the weather, etc. But those factors always exist. You can't say afterwards, but it rained that day. You've got to be able to win even if it rains, even if you get a couple of curveballs. Afterwards, to blame your own side and apologize to the right wing, and to take some of the few progressive accomplishments of Obama and then denounce it afterwards. That's why you lost. Trump's voters got excited for him, showed up to vote. Yours didn't. It wasn't their fault. It was your fault for not understanding them and actually showing them, hey, here is how you could get a college education for your kids. Here's how you could get single payer. She never believed it. She thought, if I say that, it'll be a convenient lie. But in reality, I don't think we're ever gonna get it. Well, if I don't think I'm ever gonna get progressive priorities, why do I bother to show up to vote for you? That's why you lost. Support independent media. Come join us at the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.